Hello, my friends. It's Sonya here with Fresh Approach Fitness, a wellness company, and thank you so much for being here today and for joining us. It's episode number 94 of our weekly podcast series, and can you believe that a week ago we were in January? That's right. Today is February. If you can believe this, we are February 7th, and a week ago it was January 31st. And a month before that, we were getting ready to celebrate 2022, the new year. So you're probably wondering, what is this all about, and where is she going with this? Today is all about what motivates you. And there's actually a story that happened about a week ago. It was like last Thursday, and I was speaking with a friend of mine, and we were talking about our birthdays. And I was trying to figure out how she could be born a year after me and be the same age as me. Think about that. How could she be born a year after me? In 1974, she was born, and she was the exact same age as I was. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm born in 73, and I'm going to be 48 this year. And she looked at me, and she's like, Sonya, do the math. I'm like, what? I missed a year? I'm going to be 49? And I came home and I shared this with Tony, and he's like, yeah, I've been hearing you say that for a while. You think you're 47 and you're going to be 48, but in fact, you're going to be 49. And I'm like, when did this happen? Ladies and gentlemen, when did this happen? Ever since that conversation, it's been in my mind as to where's the time gone? Honestly, where has the time gone? So I realized I must have just missed a year somewhere. It must have been recently, maybe last year, because personally I don't really care about my age. I live a full life, as I know most of you already know this by listening to these podcasts and catching up, and even the people that I meet that I bring on the show that I think are fantastic. I live a busy life. I love how full my life is. From my parents to my kids to my grandson to what I get to do for a living and my clients. I absolutely love every minute of it. And of course, there's been trials and tribulations. That's how we grow, right? So even that, I have no regrets. Even that, I wouldn't change a thing. But where, my friends, has the time gone? So now, as I'm looking ahead, I really want to hone in today and talk about what motivates you. What is it that is going to make you show up and do your best today? So, there are 6 different elements, and I know there's going to be a few more that you're going to think about and a few more that we're going to digress on. But really think about that. Think about where you're at right now, your age, your stage of life, all of it combined, and what do you want for your future? What do you want to be different? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm living till I'm 100. So I've got 51 years left. And if my first 49 years went by this quickly, or almost 49, I'm not aging myself yet, but if it went by this quickly, what's around the corner to make it go by even more quickly? I've talked about this in a previous episode. I don't recall which number it is offhand, but how different stages of life makes time go by quicker or slower. And at the end of the day, when we're younger, it seems like time is longer. And that's because it's a perspective of time. Where now, as we get older, it's a percentage of time. And we've got a different marking for that. And that's why it's completely different than you were a child, or maybe before you've had your first baby, and that 9 months felt like forever, but it's really just a blink of an eye, and that's because of the percentage of time that has actually passed. But before the event happens, it's a perspective, and that's completely different. So, wow, right? We just jumped in real deep right here. And the irony to all of this is I was actually thinking this morning, I had a client that I was supposed to go visit, really bright and early in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, we were going to train. She doesn't live in town, so a bit of a drive. Not a big deal, right? I had everything all ready to go. Things happened. She actually wasn't able to make it this morning. So it was like, well, when was I going to get my podcast in? And things always happen at the right moment, at the right time. So let's talk about what motivates you. What's going to motivate you for the next 5, 10, 15, 25, 51 years to show up as the best version of yourself? What does that look like? Meals, movement, mindset, your relationship to money. What is the first thing that you really want to work on when it comes to living your best life? So as I mentioned, there are 6 key points, and we're going to touch on them today. But for now, I just want you to think about which one you're most attracted to. Money and rewards, the desire to be the best, helping others, power and fame, recognition, or passion. I'm going to say them again just in case you're busy doing something, and it's always nice when I'm listening to a podcast myself to circle back and to just be able to hear them again. So money and rewards, desire to be the best, helping others, power and fame, recognition, and passion. So taking into account those 6 main factors that drive people closer and closer to motivation, and continuing to think about those 4 components, meals, movement, mindset, and your relationship with money, in alignment with your current age and stage of life. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Are you looking for power? Are you looking for more money in your bank account? Are you looking for financial freedom so you can finally live the life that you want, where you're not always looking at your bank account to see what you can afford, but instead you're looking at your bank account to be grateful and thankful every single day to see what's in there? So I would love to hear from you. Which area are you most gravitated to? Are you satisfied and happy and smiling when you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning when you're getting dressed? Or do you avoid the mirror? This is your story, my friends. This is your life. This is your opportunity to show up and be the very best version of yourself. And if nothing woke you up before this podcast, maybe my story will wake you up, because it's been in my mind all weekend. I do a fulfilling life, right? I've written books. I do podcasts. I coach other people to live their best life as I'm living mine. I've worked on my finances. My relationship with money has improved quite a bit. And I guide my children through the same thing. And in the meantime, I am navigating through day-to-day life. I'm navigating through my personal journey. And as I mentioned, it's not that I wouldn't change a thing. It's I enjoy the journey. So what elements do you need to add or change to your life to help you enjoy the journey? Are you doing some of your morning rituals like affirmations or meditation? Have you tried those yet? And have you thought about where putting those elements into your day will make an impact on your day-to-day? I'm not saying it's the end-all and be-all by any means. I would highly recommend, if you don't know where to start, that you definitely need to hop on to my link tree, which I've included on the bottom of the show notes. And there's a quiz in there called 22 Questions. It's a great way to get started. I also have the next one, which is 75 questions. Book a time. Hop on a call with me. We'll get it all set up, because this is your life. You are showing up to be the best version of yourself. Or are you? Are you just blowing out those candles year after year and not realizing that time is passing? Are you stuck in this story of life can't change and this is just the way it is? Because I'd like to challenge you to think differently. If you're not happy with any part of your life, and start with those 4 areas, because those 4 areas start with you. You can't change anything else until you work on your core foundation. So I know you know them: meals, movement, mindset, and your relationship with money. Pick one. Start there. But then realize, what is it that you're working towards? And again, it can be anything. Maybe you're renting a house or renting an apartment or renting a house, renting something, and your goal, your dream is to own. Well, let's break that down. And what does that look like? And what do you need to look differently? And can you look at your bank account and go over your credit card statements? And can you pick up a side hustle? What can you do differently to get out of that spectrum of renting so you can own for the rest of your life and build that equity, which would make money and rewards one of your reasons, one of your main motivators to help drive the needle to live your best life? Maybe you like to help others, and this can be as big or small as you want it to be. And you're probably wondering, well, what do those 4 elements have to do with helping other people? It's huge. I help others all day long. I help others in the modalities of meals, helping people choose healthy eating options on a budget, helping them fuel their body with superfoods that they can afford based on where they're at in the stage of their life. And everybody is different here. But my point is, if your life isn't fulfilling, if you are sitting here right now realizing how old you are and what stage of life you're at, and you're in shock and awe because it's nowhere near where you expected it to be, or you don't know what to do next, we need to chat. How do you feel the moments of your day? Do you use music to elevate you? Do you move your body? Do you sit on the couch and watch TV? I sat on the couch this weekend and watched a little bit more TV than normal. I also played with my grandson. Tony and I had a great day yesterday. I limited my movement yesterday because I'm thinking differently when it comes to the big picture. I used to, when I was maybe 10 years younger, I used to not care about tomorrow for many things. And so it was very much living for the day. Almost like, especially when it came to fitness. So it didn't matter how much I worked out. It didn't matter if I was sore. I would maybe take a bath, maybe sit down at night, but I wouldn't put into perspective what the whole week would look like. So let's go back. On Saturday, I had 2 back-to-back clients. And after that, I did a little bit of work on my business. So I train. I'm not sure if those that are listening to this, but if there's an opportunity, I do train with my personal training clients because it helps with motivation. It's always easier when you do it together. Always, no matter what it is. There's a saying, if you want to go fast in life, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a friend. So when I'm training with my clients, it's like we're going further, right? I'm able to push them further. We're able to do the moves a little bit more intense, and they're able to enhance their journey that much more because subconsciously they're following my lead. And I love it. So I did 2 sessions on Saturday, like I said, back to back. On Sunday, my girlfriends, now I miss spending time with them. I really wanted to see them, but I couldn't go for a walk. I knew my body needed to rest because today I was supposed to have 2 sessions not back to back, but in the morning and at night. Like I said, this one canceled, and that happens. There was a point in time where that really would have bothered me, but honestly, life happens. And it always happens the way it's supposed to. We just don't see it in hindsight until we see it in hindsight, So Sunday I rested. I didn't even go for a walk with the dogs. We did go for a little walk around the block. I did have a bath. I rested my body because I looked at the big picture. Another thing I did differently, and you're probably wondering how this fits in when I'm talking about filling your life to the fullest, but I got extra rest and sleep in this weekend. I needed it. My body needed it. So the thing is, I'm not as young as I was 10 years ago at all. So knowing what I was getting into, that I would have had a double session today, a double session tomorrow, a double session on Thursday, my body needed the rest. So I could efficiently and effectively help others. So movement is a priority, but I put into perspective what motivates me. And I'll be honest, all of these 6 components motivate me. Money, rewards, desire to be the best, that one doesn't really motivate me a lot, but my personal best, so it does. Helping others, for sure. I wouldn't be in the industry of transformation. I wouldn't be reaching out there and getting more and more people to learn about what I do and how I help other people. Power and fame? Yeah, no, I don't really want to be famous, but I love being the best kept secret in my local town, because when people work with me, they don't know. It's like, wow, where have you been? And there is something sublime about power and fame, but I'm not talking international fame here. I'm talking internal fame, making me feel good, making the fires from within burn brightly, if that makes sense. And recognition, of course. I'm going to be completely honest. I am a Leo at heart. I am full of pride, and recognition is huge for me. Plus, it makes me thrive. When I get recognition, personally, I do more. I double down. And I like the recognition. And there's nothing vain or wrong with any of these. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, you're motivated by money, Sonya, of course you are. You're a coach. People pay for your services. I do a lot for free. There is nothing wrong with earning money for passion at all. So I personally, and I know I'm not the only one, there was a big transformation shift in my mindset when it came to money and passion and helping others. But it is all connected. Money is our current form of currency. Back eons ago, it used to be primarily bartering. And bartering, exchanging service for service, was the currency at the time. And then it changed to dollars. There's nothing wrong with either one of those components. What's wrong, though, is your mindset feeling like you're not worth it. You're not worth investing in yourself. You're not worth paying somebody, right? But think at the end of the day, how much money you are trading in exchange of your time. Time you can't get back. So there's a major conversation piece, and if I haven't done an episode on this, I need to go back and check, but I definitely will be. A lot of people put money and time in the exact same category in terms of a top commodity. They put the value of money and time on the same parallel, at par with one another. But the reality is we can always make more money. We can get a different job. We can do something different about our financial status. We can take action. We can take no action. We can save. Our story can change when it comes to money. And I know there's going to be a few people listening to this with their backs against the corner saying, no, Sonya, I'm hopeless. Like, there's nothing that can be done. I don't believe you. I encourage you to hop on the phone and have a free call with me, because there are ways you can change, and that's in the mindset piece. I've worked with thousands of people in this area, and it starts with mindset, and it starts with knowing that you are worth the change. But at the end of the day, I can't go back and add any more years to my life. And neither can you. Time is our number one commodity. Time is something we can't get back. Time is something that we need to fill up our lives with things that matter. So if you're in conflict with somebody, and I'm going to bring this up because it happens. It even happened spontaneously last night at dinner a little bit with my youngest daughter, and I feel awful about this because I didn't do my meditation over the weekend, and I'm not saying it was my fault, but I took things personally. And it's easy to do as a mom, take things personally. But that moment in time, we can't get back at all. We can try to make up for it, but we can't get back. And she's allowed to have her feelings. I'm allowed to have mine, and we don't need to agree. But personally, my biggest regret was that I didn't handle it. I didn't pause and handle it with grace. And I'm very authentic with this. I'm very real. And for those that have seen me personally, I'm not your perfect size 2 coach, but I'm the most real coach you've ever met. And you watch me go through my own personal transformations as I do talk about this. So we can't go back and fix time. We can remedy our mistakes, but we can't get time back. We can't add years to our life unless we make some significant changes to our mindset, to our meals, to the way we move our body, especially if we're not moving our body now. Most of you listening to this have some sort of phone. Most of you have some sort of gadget that you can track your level of fitness, your level of movement. If you don't know where to start with identifying where you're at right now. What is your current level of movement? Because the only way you're going to get time back, which you're not going back in time, right? We're not adding years to your life, but the second best way to do that is to expand your day by fulfilling it with things that bring you joy. And what brings you joy is not sitting around on the couch and watching TV all the time. It's moving, because a body in action stays in action, and you're shifting that energy to make you want to do more. So, start identifying where you're at, but first figure out where you want to go. What kind of life do you want to live for the next 51 years? I want my life to be full, and I am going to find a way to take this road trip with her. It's something we're going to talk about. It's going to be a great experience, and it's certainly doable. One of the things that I discovered more often, more so than not over this weekend, was the one thing I've always let money get into the way, and that's why money's become a big topic. I know I'm not the only one, because as parents, we self-sacrifice for our children, right? We show them what we want out of life, but we also give them everything that we didn't have, or we want to give them as much out of life as we can in terms of opportunity, and sometimes that doesn't mean taking care of ourselves. And most of us fall into this paradigm at one point or another where it's easier to say yes to them and to self-sacrifice and to go without. That's not serving anybody. That's not showing them how to save. That's not teaching them about life. It's A-okay to help, but don't put yourself last. That's not going to make your life fulfilled. And with time not being on your side because it goes by so quickly, it's not going to help you get where you want to be in life. So where do you fall with this? What is standing out to you the most when it comes to time, when it comes to motivation, when it comes to living your very best life? Give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, with 10 being the most balanced, fun, fulfilled life, and 1 being, yeah, no, not so much. I'm not enjoying any of it. Give yourself a rating. Where do you fall? Let me know what that rating is. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you out with that next step. Go ahead and do some of those quizzes we talked about. There's some other free ones on the link tree if you don't know where to start. But start with a self-assessment. Where are you and where do you want to be? Are you lining up to your core values in life? Are you being motivated to live your best life? It's okay if it's money and rewards, if it's a personal desire to be the best, or if it's a group desire to be the best. Is it all about helping others? Does it boil down to power and fame? Recognition? Passion? I have a passion right now for living my best life. I want to travel more. So of course, Brooke asking me to go for a road trip is like, yeah, I definitely want to go. How am I going to make this work? But I can make this work. It's going to look different. Maybe I'll do virtual training for the week. I am going to be creative. But the one thing I said to Tony this week was, now that I realize that I somehow gapped on a year in my life, and it must have been recently, because I'm not afraid of my age at all. I know I have the energy. I know I'm very happy with life, and I want this for you. So it's not my age that I'm embarrassed by. So it was an honest mistake. I don't know where it stemmed from. But here's the thing. The one thing I do want more of, that I've always waited for one reason or another, is road trips and adventures and exploring more. And that was one of my goals for this year. But it is definitely something I'm going to expedite and make a priority. How about you? What are you going to make a priority? For me, the reason why exploring and adventures and road trips are more of a priority for me this year, it's an opportunity to discover more about myself in a different surrounding. I get to see more of the world, whether it's the local world or an international world. It depends on society and COVID and life. And finances a little bit, of course, but I get to explore and learn more of myself, and that's what I'm curious about. I want to see how I adapt to different surroundings. I want to see how I'm learning more. So for me, that's my drive. And that doesn't fall into any of those 6 categories, right? So my point is, it doesn't have to fall into one of those 6 categories for you to be motivated, for you to show up and be the best version of yourself. Very fitting on today's Motivational Monday. And my friends, it doesn't matter what shape, size you are. Start where you're at. 100%. Start somewhere. Or you're going to be living the same story over and over and over again. Okay, I'm keeping today's episode short and sweet. We're under 30 minutes by the time I wrap this up. But I want to say you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for an amazing interview I'm going to be doing later this week. It'll be on next week's episode. It's for Black History Month. And her name is Jafia Reed. She is lovely. She is a Ontario Canadian citizen. And I'm really curious to lean in to learn more about her story and her background and what makes her shine in her own light. So thank you, my friends, for showing up. And I definitely look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.